All right, guys, what's up and welcome to another YouTube video. Sorry if I'm looking down at my screens here. I am still situated in my office. Today is going to be a new one. We're doing a interview with one of a guy that we work with closely, the owner of Tint CRM, which is a CRM focused on helping the automotive industry perform better, do better scheduling, and overall help you make your business more successful. So we'll get into the details of that later. So I'll go ahead and let Jay introduce himself, give himself a proper introduction, and we'll go deep into this. If you guys are interested in this type of content, keep watching it. Most of you guys already are. So this will be a very informative video, and a lot of you guys can take away a lot of things from this video. All right, Jay.
Hey, so hi everyone. My name is Jay. Like Julio said, I am the founder and creator of Tint. Tint is basically a quoting and booking marketing system made specifically for window tinters, specifically automotive window tinters, I should say. And yeah, I've been messing around with computers for a while, for decades really, since the days of AOL, if anybody knows that, or DSL internet. So back when your internet was through your telephone, I've been messing with computers. So yeah, so that's who I am. And I'm looking forward to talking more about Tint and what it can do for everybody.
Sweet. And I think this is your first interview, right? Style video.
It is.
Done.
It is.
Yeah. So technical issues weren't too bad. But all right, guys. So let's go ahead and jump into what. Let's start with what's your background. So you're from Canada, right? And you started in the window tint industry with an online tint school, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So my first experience, so let's say my first run-in with window tinting is when I had my first vehicle. Really, all of my cars have been tinted. And you know that experience. Once you have your first vehicle that's tinted, you can't go back to not having tint. So all of my cars were tinted, and then 2020 hit, and we all know what the kind of year that was for everyone. And I bought a new vehicle, and I needed it to be tinted. And this time I didn't want to pay somebody to tint it. I thought, why don't I just learn how to do it myself? So I bought an online course, and I went from there. It took me a week and a half to tint my Volkswagen Jetta.
Yeah.
By the time it was like decent, it took me a week and a half. By the time I was like happy with it, and I still had to restart it, a little ways down. But yeah, that's why I started my journey into window tinting really as a profession in 2020, and then I'm doing it. I continue to do it till now. Even while programming and creating Tint, I still tint.
So your first car was a Jetta?
Yeah, my own vehicle.
My gosh.
My own vehicle. Yeah, not a good car to start with, for sure.
Yeah, no way.
No, it's like jumping in the deep end, right? So that's why it took me a week and a half.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, most people would have gave up after like one try.
Yeah.
No, I don't even know my first car I tinted. I have no idea. I think it was some sort of sedan. I think it was like a Toyota. But yeah, so similar background. I don't even think I had a car. I had a 1993 Honda Accord, and I decided, I was in college and like, well, this is a business that kind of makes sense. $200 an hour or 2 hours. It sounds amazing. A lot easier said than done, right? Like, it's not that easy.
No,
so,
not at all. Yeah,
I went to an in-person school. Then I went to an in-person school in Texas. I went to one in San Diego, and then I started out of my garage. So I think that's why we're able to connect pretty well, because we understand kind of the very humble beginnings, right? So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I'm working out of my garage too. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries, man. Yeah,
I know what that's like.
Yeah, and I think that gives us an interesting perspective on business and CRMs and whatnot. I'm sure you've tried your own CRMs, worked with different companies, and what I've experienced is that a lot of the larger CRMs, they're good, but they're not custom to what we need, and they're very expensive.
Precisely.
You're talking to like the 150th employee who doesn't really know what's going on. So I think Tint is going to be a very interesting thing for the industry specifically. I know because I've been using it for a while, but so you're a window tinter, you decided, I have some free time in the winter. I'm still in technology, so I want to develop a software. Why did you want to develop that software?
Yeah, great question. So like most people, or almost everyone who gets into window tinting, sooner or later, you're going to need to be online. You know that right away. And so the options that are online currently are not the best for window tinters. So what I first did, so whatever, I like, because I'm a computer person, and especially on the internet, and I like to program. So the first thing I did was create my own website. Well, sorry, the first thing I did was do a ClickFunnels website, and it was nice, it was cool, but there was a strategy from the online course that I took, that there was elements of it that I didn't really appreciate. One being, there was an automated system through email for quoting, right? And I was like, okay, this is cool. The issue that I did not like is when the customer did book, they're still getting the next couple emails that come afterwards, and the last email is a discount offer. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. The customer already booked. So why am I going to then give them an offer? And then they come back to me and be like, hey, I just got the offer, but I just came to see you yesterday. So can I get the new offer? So I was like, I don't like this method. It just doesn't make sense to me. It would be better if it was if they book, that any offer any continuing communication is terminated. They don't receive another text message or an email that says, hey, come and see us for 10% off when they've already came to see us for the regular price.
So this was a pre-built funnel that they gave to you from ClickFunnels.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. So it was, and I didn't know ClickFunnels. I didn't really use ClickFunnels. I had no exposure to it. So anyways, for me, I was like, I don't have enough granular control. It feels like there's just not enough control. And I personally like a program that does specifically something that it's built to do and not like stuck together. So I built S3 Tint's first website, and then I created a backend to that website that allowed me to do these things, which is generally what Tintbolt is now. So Tintbolt, what it is now, was not always this way. It was the back end of the S3 Tint, my tinting company. It was the back end of that website, and then I separated it into its own thing. So now Tintbolt is basically, you can think of it as the structure of it is kind of like a person. Mm-hmm. And I'll explain that as it has an outer shell, an inner shell, and it has like a nervous system, basically. So the outer shell of Tintbolt is the landing page, which is the quoting booking system. On a Pro Plus plan, it's integrated or embedded inside of a professionally designed website, but it's still the main component is that quoting booking marketing system, including with the accounting, which hopefully we have time to get into. So that's the outer shell. The inner shell of Tintbolt is the control panel, the dashboard, the one that you log into, and then you have all those, the stats, the data points, the booking control, the leads. That's the inner shell. And then the nervous system is what you don't see ever, is the background operations that run it. So there's really 3 code bases to Tintbolt that allow it to operate in the way it does. And like you're saying, it's exactly it. It addresses the specifics that we need in window tinting. Yeah.
And a lot of guys get lost in the details. I mean, I don't know how many other guys are like us in the industry. If there's guys who are like, hey, I'm going to go and try everything and see what works, or if they're just like, I don't want to do anything and just kind of hope that customers find me. So it's like this, I think finding that middle ground of like, I don't want to be a tech guy and learn how to code and build funnels and all this stuff. And I also, don't want to go so far into the I don't care. I'll just word of mouth, whatever happens. So I like that Tintbolt is a more focused, like, hey, you have a tint business. We can assist you in making it as profitable and as simple as possible to get you quotes and make you look like a professional operation. And I was even telling my father yesterday, it's good to see his perspective from someone who doesn't know anything at all about our industry. I was like, hey, what do you think about this quoting system? He's like, oh, that's nice. He's like, I'm older, so I probably wouldn't do it. But, when we're looking at Facebook and the way that all of our data is coming in, we're noticing that our best performing ad groups are in 20 to 36 or something like that. So no matter what, it's perfect for where we are right now as a society, where we can have the ads on running 24/7 and constantly getting booking. So now what separates you from Thrive CRM, a competitor in our industry, or in our specific, I wouldn't say competitor, but another CRM in our industry is, what's their name? A very nice gentleman that he sent us a care package. Eric, he owns TintWiz, correct?
TintWiz.
So are they integrated together, or because I saw there was an integration?
Okay, so good question. I get this a lot, especially about TintWiz. So TintWiz, to be, full disclosure, I've never used TintWiz, so I don't know.
Haven't either.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. What I do know about TintWiz, though, and so again, because I don't know it all that well, take some of my opinion with a grain of salt, right? So as far as I know from TintWiz is, I would call it an offline system, is what I would call it. I know it's connected. When I say connected, I mean like connected to the internet. So there is that broadband support. But what I mean is offline, as it's more of a back end operation. So the customer generally doesn't see what's happening with TintWiz. They don't know anything about TintWiz. They're not really interacting with TintWiz, let's say. The difference between TintWiz and Tintbolt is Tintbolt is interacting directly with the customer. That's the whole premise. The whole point of it is to be but a more efficient communicator with your customer. That's the main difference, right? Like there is plans that to integrate. Here's the thing with integration. Again, full disclosure. So I'd say a year ago, I reached out to TintWiz. I just sent them an email, and I asked them if they had an API that was exposed, which means that an API is something that I would be able to connect to, and then transfer data between two applications is basically what that is, what an API is. But they didn't have an API, so I could never integrate actually with TintWiz, which would have been really cool because I think TintWiz and Tintbolt would complement each other very, very well. But once again, there's no way to connect them. But anyway, so that's the difference. Tintbolt, compared to the other CRMs, Tintbolt is consumer focused. It's focused more on the consumer side of things. So how your visitors or potential customers would interact with your online presence, your online face, how they interact with that, and then how to convert those guys more, or those potential visitors into actual customers. That's what Tintbolt's focus is on, compared to the other CRMs, which is mostly a back end business application and not really messing around with the front end.
Yeah, and I think the front end is and the front end is so important because you can't really get them in the back end if they're not even going through the front end. So that was my issue with Thrive. Yeah, it's like Thrive's like, oh well, we have 200 different widgets and all these different tools that you can use, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't need 200 different tools. I just need a basic, like we don't even need a website. And that's where I think, in my opinion, we don't need a website. Specifically, if I'm a customer that's just looking for window tint, I want the fastest quote. I want to get it done quickly, and I want to know what I'm, what I'm seeing. And I think the last 10, 15 years, everyone's like, well, you got to build this huge website and the SEO and all this stuff. And it's like, okay. And I know guys paying $4,500 a month for someone to do their SEO for them. So unfortunately, it's crazy. Yeah, I've never done SEO. I've never done any of that stuff. We do well for ourselves, and I don't know how much. I know SEO works, but I think like where I've been seeing Tintbolt as an advantage is like I don't have time to wait a year or 2 years for results. I do a paid ad. I get in front of customers, and that's through Facebook, Instagram. Gets sent to our quote.tintbolt website, and they can build out their estimate. And like I had people schedule at 3 a.m, 8 o'clock at night, like random times where I'm not going to be able to pick up. So really figuring that part out, I think, is the most important, because the back end, all we really need is their name, phone number, a warranty, and what they did to their vehicle. And that's all we need. That's
basically all. That's all you need to know. Yeah. The most important thing is getting that customer through the door.
Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. And it's true. A lot of people don't talk about this, about the position or where websites are in our world today. Like, where do they fit in? And websites are on the way out, basically. Like what we're focusing more on is landing pages instead of a full-blown website. And what's normally known as a portfolio, is it portfolio? No, brochure website is what the traditional website is known. It's basically just for information. Everything is just to give you information about the business. And a properly built landing page is getting you straight to the product, getting the visitors straight to what they're looking for. Hey, I'm here for a quote. I just want to know the pricing. Get me there as quickly as possible. And where Tint really, I think, shines at that point is to not just give them that information, but give them that information in a, I would say, in a unique way, because we can really extract, like separate the different type of vehicle types, and we can go even further down the line. We'll be able to even become even more granular with how these customers will be able to get their specific types of quotes, and then we market them if they opt into getting the quote sent to them. We remind them. We try to really get them to book in, and that is the big major difference between a landing page or a landing application. I don't know if there's a proper name for that, versus a website.
Yeah,
and even a landing. On the way out.
I'm sorry, Jay.
No, you're good.
And even a landing, because I was a landing page guy, right? And I was like, this isn't enough, because I have to pay $100 for ClickFunnels. I got to pay $20 for this like scheduling service, and then I got to integrate them together. And so I'm like, okay, this is too much. So that's why I never answer emails, cold emails. And so when Jay reached out, I just happened to be working that week on this specific thing. I was like, how do we get this to be as simple as possible? Because I have a course, Window Tint Hacks, and this is inside of the course on the CRM section. And I have to look at it from like an area perspective, like, okay, let's say this guy knows nothing about window tint. And how do we get this guy who's like literally just starting to be able to make $200 a day? And how do we get them to understand Tint and understand CRMs and all this? So I went in with the whole complicated CRMs and all that stuff. And I was like, this is just too much. It's like giving a master's degree, and it's like, and is it even necessary? These guys, most guys, they just want to tint cars. They want to go home. They want to hang out with their friends, and they're not trying to, be Bill Gates. You know what I mean? Like we don't need to, we don't need all that. So, and I'm one of those guys. Like I just want it to be as simple as possible. I want to get in and out, and I don't want to be at the shop all day. And I think once you get to that 5-6 year mark of business, you start to kind of see it that way, where you're like, hey, I need a life outside of this, which means you don't have all the time in the world to be at your shop just hanging out all day. To each their own. Other guys do 20 cars a day. I'm more like, hey, 5, 6. 2,000 a day. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so, that's good enough.
So sorry, back on track here. So do you want to take us through like the customer journey, or let's say I'm interested in trying Tint Bolt. Can you show me kind of a basic walkthrough of how the quoting, the system, like how everything works really fast?
Certainly. So that's really good. I like that, because I was just thinking Tint Bolt's main a big aspect of how I designed the architecture of Tint Bolt, or the way that it works, is to get any user, and when I say user I mean owners, or tinters I should say, those I would consider the users of Tint Bolt, to get any user to the point of value as quickly as possible. So how Tint Bolt demonstrates its value, how to get a user to that point as quickly as possible. So I try to simplify it, and I promise you, a year ago, Tint Bolt was not as simple as it is now. It was so convoluted. It was the forms that people had to fill in were stupidly long. It was just terrible, and bad experience over bad experience. And then we've had to get it better to the point where it is now. So the quick route. So a person signs up for Tint Bolt. You set up your tint. So if you have a manufacturer, you set up your manufacturer, and then you go set up your prices for your different vehicle types, the durations, and then at that point, you're basically already ready to just send people to your website, just like that. Within 5 minutes, a tinter is ready to take on quotes and take on bookings within 5 minutes. Did I answer your question? I think it's really quick.
Yeah. I mean, so we're only 20 minutes in. We still got some time. If you would like to do a screen share and show if you want to show like the dashboard, and show us like what that would look like. So this is once you're in there, and Tim, once you sign up, there's already a bunch of tutorials, guys, on how it's set up. But I just would like to show you guys a little glimpse of what it looks like before you guys go in. And remember, we have a 7-day free trial, so you can see all of this stuff in depth.
For sure. Okay, let me just. I want to do is I want to show one with data in it. So because as you know, the way Tint Bolt works is there's a lot of data in the back end. So I want to be a little careful showing my own data, because there's customer information there that's kind of sensitive. But I want to show something with data. But I think I'm going to log out of this account and go into a test account.
Okay.
and then we'll go from there.
I need to upgrade my Zoom plan.
To go past that 30-minute, right?
Yeah, I think I have about 30 minutes. Software, man, they always get you.
They do. Yeah. It's a true story. I'm trying to keep Tint as reasonably priced as possible, but so that I don't have people feeling that, because in this world we're living in, the software, the subscription plans, like everything is a subscription plan now.
Yeah.
Everything. And I tried to avoid that for Tint, and then I was like, well, actually there's no way for me to avoid that, because Tint has its own subscription plans.
Yeah.
So there's no way to avoid it. That's the world we live in now. Subscription. Yes. Okay. So the way that Tint works. So again, when you first sign up, you'll find yourself in the onboarding process. The onboarding is literally 2 steps. Let's say it's 2 parts. It's step 1 of 3 steps, but there's 2 parts to step 1. I hope that's not confusing things. So the first thing is to set up your tint brands. There's different manufacturers. I think the more popular manufacturers are here, and you'll set up your manufacturer, and then you'll go and set up your vehicle types and your prices for every vehicle type. And then from that point on, you'll then have access to your website or your landing page. And that's what your visit your site is. You'll have the access to copy the link and share it with people. That's step 1. So step 2 is actually to test out can you see this page still?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So your first, the first thing you're going to want to do is to make sure that everything is working on your page after you've done setting everything up. If you do run into any issues here, you'll want to reach out to me immediately. Hopefully, Julio, you could just maybe put my email there, j@s3tint.com, so people will be able to email if they have this issue. But you're going to want to test out the entire system, test out the booking. So if somebody says save quote, then you'll want to text the quote to yourself. I'll do that here now, actually. Book online. You're going to test the booking online. Test everything you possibly can. And then once you're done that, come back to your dashboard and just analyze and double check to see that the data is starting to populate is what you'll want to do. So that would be the parts of the process. You have access to your bookings. And from this point on, you can make all your bookings from here in case the customers call. They don't want to book themselves in on the booking and quoting page. You update your hours, basically everything you can think of. One thing I am coming up with, I haven't really told you yet, in this section, it's going to be somewhere around here, customer profiles. So, which is something that Tint is, I think, lacking, is the ability to see the customers. So that will be coming in, I would say, sometime this month, most likely. Important feature. Anyway, so, and then you have your leads, and then you have your leads, and then you have your accounting system. How much time do we have left?
We have, see here. We have about 3 minutes. I think I think we have a 40-minute time frame.
I think maximum is 40. Yeah, 40 or 45.
I think we're okay. There's no warning. Usually it gives me like a 5-minute warning or 10-minute warning, so we're still good.
Okay, cool. Okay, well then I think I'll take some time to go over the accounting. Am I going too fast?
No, this is solid.
Good pace?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so the accounting part, I would like to put some focus on. There's going to be updates coming on into this as well. So the accounting is really important. I think it's, and this was an idea brought to me by Julio, which was I would have never thought of bringing accounting into Tint, and it feels like the missing piece to what Tint was before, which was just static booking and quoting. The accounting completes it by allowing the window tinter to properly know where they are at economically with their business. And so that's what this accounting section is for. So you have your income and your revenue. The whole point of this is profit and loss, by the way. So you have your income and revenue. Straightforward. You put in the day and the time of your booking, basically, and then the amount of money you made, and you check off if it was a card payment or not. The card payment comes in the expenses. It's going to be based off of the based off of your card processing fees. So if you have a fee, or if you have a percentage base, or if you have both, like a flat rate or percentage base, anyways, you'll put that there, because that will be part of your expenses, which is payment processing, part of your what's known for products, it's COGS, but in this case we don't have products, we have services, so it's cost. But anyways, cost of service, which is your film. You're going to want to put all this stuff in. If you are not picking it up, like for me over here, I go straight to my my supplier in person, so I don't have shipping and handling. But let's say I was to pick up film yesterday, for example, it cost me 330 Canadian dollars, or US. It doesn't matter. The currency doesn't matter in this case, because we're not doing any conversions. So whatever your currency is in your country, that's the number you'll put in there. No conversions are necessary. Yeah, you'll put in your cost of film, shipping and handling if you have it. Here, let me just demonstrate this payment processing really quickly. So let's say today at 10:45, perfect. I did a job for 250, and the person paid by card. Like if you're using Square, for example, you're probably taking card payments. You put that in there. There's a little icon here to tell you that this was a card payment. If we go into our expenses here, actually, there's going to need to be a reset. So that this is what happens when you do live demo tests. Sometimes things don't exactly work the way you're hoping for them to work. Again, this actually brings up a good thing that I generally forget to mention. Tint is still in beta, meaning that it's a work in progress. So there's going to be bugs here and there where we don't generally want the bugs. Oh, actually, this is a major bug that's happening here. So as we can see, for whatever reason, the processing fee has disappeared, and I would imagine if I'm wise about this is actually probably because I'm not certain yet. And so
the accounting's still early on.
It's still early,
very early on. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't even know where it just I don't even know where it went. So this
Don't
is basically
worry, Jay will be on it. Yeah, I promise you.
I definitely will fix this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So generally you would have this part showing you how much your cost of the cost of taking a card payment. So for example, in my case, it's I think 3% plus 5 cents. And so that's a cost of me doing business and taking that card payment. You're going to go through your operating expenses, right? So if you have a shop and your shop costs you $500 a month, which would be amazing if we had that here. Here, the average is like $2,000 a month. So it's impossible to properly operate out of a shop here in Calgary. When you got your phone bill, whatever, you add all of your expenses, and then you go into your profit and loss. And then this is obviously this business is suffering badly, and it's probably not going to last if everything stays in the red. So I color code everything so that you know if you're in the green or if you're in the red. What you're going to look for is to have a positive profit margin. So you want to make sure that your operating expenses and your costs are lower than the revenue that's coming in, and you'll have your everything showing up here so that you properly have an idea of where your business is at, where your net profit is at. And then you're going to bring that all into your personal finances over here, and then add all your personal finances. The number you're wanting to pay attention to is your total remaining. So after you're done paying all your bills, your personal bills, so this piece from profit and loss all the way up to income revenue, that's business side of things. And then we go into your personal, so you know really where you're at after you're done paying all your bills, how much money you have left over. You just really know where your financial situation or your outlook really is with the accounting tab, accounting feature in Tint, which again was a really brilliant idea to bring in for sure.
Well, it's a constant problem that I have. I don't know how many other tinters have as much stuff going on as I did the last couple of years, but I just was like, I had no idea. Like, I have money. Let's do this, let's let's go ahead and remodel this. Like I was just like, especially with window tinting, like you make so much money so fast if you're doing it right, that you're just like, oh, it's going to be like this forever. So Yeah, getting educated in your finances is extremely fast. I think something I would like to see in the future, and of course it's still early on, is to be able to completely eliminate QuickBooks. So instead of
Mhm.
having to go into your bank and input each debit or expense, or income or expense, if it could just automatically import them for the day, and then you'd be
Right.
able to, so that would be a pretty cool feature, if we could integrate that. But again, like that would just save time. And then I notice a lot of times with the bank statements, like you'll see like 10 payment processing, and you're like, okay, well, what day was that for? Because they're all
Right.
processing at different times.
Yeah.
But I like it a lot. So I'm excited to see how it matures and how it gets better. I'm not on the coding side, so I just, my opinions are obviously like very, you know, aerial
No, there.
perspective.
I promise you, everyone's opinion on the more opinions I get on Temple, the better it becomes. Here's the thing with a lot of early adopters, I find with Temple. All right, it might be the same for any what's known as a SaaS. So SaaS stands for software as a service. So I think for most SaaS businesses, I think they run into the issue that a lot of early adopters or people who come in early in the game to test it, they don't voice their opinion. They're not saying enough. So we, the developers, don't really know what to fix because it's hard for me to catch all the bugs that Temple is going to have. It's so difficult because it's such a massive program. If I could go into the code and show you the amount of code that is Temple, for me to catch every bug on my own, it would take me forever. So having users say, hey, I've had a problem with this, and you are great for that. Like, you're really great for that. You are always telling me when you're having an issue. And I'm like, I appreciate that so much because then I can jump on it and try and fix it immediately. So your opinion matters.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most
Yeah.
important things, to be
Thank you.
honest.
Thank you. Yeah. I was like, hopefully he doesn't get annoyed by all my. I'm like, yeah, bro, this
Nah,
is not working.
yeah, no, not
Can
at
you
all. No. I'll tell you who gets worried, and she probably won't like me saying that. But my fiance gets
Oh, really?
every time. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. I got a message from Julio. What happened now? A bug? And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, bug. And she's like, oh my God, like she literally
Yeah.
worries. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know.
It's crazy, man. Like when you run, like, I mean, I'm on the distribution side of things. And back in the day, like I had a customer that was like super, I'm not like him, but he was like, man, I have product I need it tomorrow. I'm like, well, bro, why did you order that like 4 days ago? Like,
Yeah,
they're like,
right.
well,
Yeah,
what can you do? I'm like, really? Like, I got, all right, well, let me throw some film in an Uber and send it 4 hours away, like, and I would
damn.
have to
Yeah,
solve those kind of problems. So
yeah,
that's why, like,
yeah.
I try to be as nice as possible when it comes to critiquing and problems. So I'm like, man, I've been there where it's like, damn, like, yeah, I could fix it, but like it's Saturday at, 8 o'clock at
Right.
night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's better that you're fixing it though than a development team that's, getting paid a salary and they don't really, care if it comes out today or tomorrow. So that's what's cool about these why I'm interested in seeing it grow from the beginning is because you're actually looking at what we need and not what, like is
Like some
necessarily going to make your shareholders happy.
shareholders. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more product. It's more user led type of development, which I think is important nowadays.
Yeah.
Like
And
it's
you
not,
save a
it's
lot of
not,
money.
I save a lot more money. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
some point though, to be honest, I'm going to need to bring in developers because like I said, Template is getting pretty large. It's a large code base for one
Yeah.
person to manage. And so I've had to stop adding in new features. First of all, because there's still bugs in the
Mhm.
current features, so I got to pause on adding new features until all the bugs are fixed on the current features. But every time I add in a feature, it becomes larger and it becomes harder for me to maintain every single time I add a new feature. So at some point, there is going to be developers, but I still am going to keep Temple focused on what the users are saying, because at the end of the day, it's me. I'm a user too of Temple, and so that's why Temple is where it is from the beginning. It's because I know that it works for window tinters because
Yeah.
I
Well,
need it for my own business.
where it's at right now, it's helped me I mean, also, I have my marketing as well, but where it's at right now, last January, I did about 6,000 in sales and it was a terrible month, and then this January, we finished the month with like 12,500, I think. And we weren't
Nice.
even open for like the majority, or I think we had like 2 weeks where we were like only taking a couple cars.
Right.
So, I mean, overall from a system standpoint, like I'm not leaving it. Thrive was
Yeah.
like, hey, we'll
Cool.
offer you like 2 free months, 3 free months. I'm like, I don't care. I was like, I'm happy here. Jay, we have
Nice.
about 1 minute. So anything you
Okay.
want to finish up with or let them
Uh,
know where they can find you?
Okay, yeah, for sure. So you guys could find me. Well, you could just search Jay Racine on Google, Jay Hessen, and you'll find me. But join the Templed movement. I guess it's not really you can call it a movement, but I would say give Templed a try for sure. Templed.com or dashboard.templed.com, or just search up Templed.
And the
You'll
link
find
will
us online.
be below as well in the video.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Thank you
Um,
for this. Was fun, man. This was fun.
yeah,
Appreciate
this
it.
is good. Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
I've never done an interview style. Oh no, I have done one other one with actually another CRM, but
Uh,
they're not no longer in my Windows 10 Hacks course. Much respect for them, but yeah, unfortunately, it just was too big. And yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for
cool.
taking the time. We got about
My
15
pleasure.
seconds, so we'll see you guys in the next video. I'll have this uploaded today.
All
See you,
right.
Jay. Take
See ya.
care.